What's up, guys? Welcome to a compilation of all of my moving vlogs. I decided to just slam them all into one big supercut so that you can easily see where I was in my last apartment and how I got started building out this studio that I'm in now in my garage in my new apartment. It starts off with me laying out my plans for moving and then breaking down my shrimp tanks, coming back and setting up this tank, going back, breaking down all my fish tanks, and then moving all of my fish into here. And at the end, I finish off with a little studio tour. And the studio has evolved quite a lot since then, and I've been working on a ton of new projects. And if you want to follow along with everything that I'm working on, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel so you can see the updates on everything that I'm doing. All right, let's get started. Okay, really quick, just come check this out. So this is really exciting. I found the first baby shrimp in this tank. And I tried to get some footage, but did the best with the camera I have. I don't have a macro lens or anything, so hopefully you can see in this footage I'm going to show you, or maybe it's on the screen right now. And I found 2 babies so far, and super, super exciting. I was really hoping we'd have babies in this tank because a lot of these shrimp were buried when I got them, but first baby shrimp for me, super, super exciting. And yeah, since I put in the mineral rock, everything's been going great. The shrimp seem to have a little bit more color in them too. So super happy with this tank. But yeah, just wanted to tell you guys about the babies because it's super cool. But this video is not really about this tank. I'm moving and I'm going to show you what my plan is. What's up, guys? I'm Lucas and welcome to Terracotta Aquarium. So as I've been talking about on the channel for a couple of videos now, a couple of weeks, I'm moving. And I'm starting to move next week, almost exactly like a week from when I'm filming today. So it's really exciting to have like a new place to set up the tanks, but it's also pretty stressful to move said tanks. So today I'm going to show you what my plan is. And I kind of have it all written down on a piece of paper. It's a little bit of kind of chicken scratch insanity writing. So I'm going to rewrite it. I'm going to use like a little whiteboard. And I'm going to walk you guys through my plan. And I'm doing it for 2 reasons. One is I want to show you what my plan is, and then you can kind of see how close I actually come to following the plan over the next few videos, because I'm planning to do like a couple moving vlogs, starting with this one. So yeah, this is the first moving vlog, and then I'll have two or three more after this, depending on how things go. But the second reason is that I want to rewrite the plan for my own benefit so I can kind of get everything straight in my head about what's going to happen. Okay, so this is the piece of paper, and as you can see, it's kind of unintelligible. So I'm going to get the whiteboard and we'll kind of redo this. But this is kind of the framework that I'm working off of. Okay, so I've got this whiteboard. This is usually where we write grocery lists and dinner plans and that kind of thing. But today, I'm repurposing it for organizing. Okay, so let's get started. Let's do phase 1. Okay, so phase 1, I'm going to move my 2 ecosystem jars and the 2 shrimp tanks. So let's do jar, 2 jars, and then let's do jars, shrimp. And I'm going to, hopefully this doesn't get too confusing, I'm going to drain the shrimp tanks down to 2 inches of water. My cat really wants to go outside, so you might hear some meowing in the background. So, I'm going to take this stuff, draining to 2 inches. I'm going to plastic wrap plus wet paper towel. And so that should be fine in the shrimp tanks. Yeah, let's just go look at them really quick and I'll explain a little bit more. So yeah, for this tank, like I was saying, and also the other tank that I showed you earlier, I'll be able to just drain the water level down to about here, and the shrimp will be totally fine in that amount of water. And I'll put some like wet paper towels kind of on top of all of the plants, and then plastic wrap the top. And I'll take the filters and I'll put them in the bucket of water that I take with me. And media should be good for a few hours. Filters will be fine. And then I'll take these, drive them to the new place, set everything back up, use that water to fill them back up. And hopefully that should be totally fine. And I'm also going to bring this stand with me as well. And I'll have both the shrimp tanks set up on here. Okay, so that is how I will wrap and keep the shrimp tanks kind of wet and all the plants and everything good while I go. And it's going to take me about 2.5 to 3 hours per trip driving. And the jars will be fine. There's nothing really in there, no shrimp or fish, so they're going to be totally fine. And the shrimp tanks, with just that little bit of water, I think that the shrimp will be fine. And I'm also going to save the water and bring that as well. So I'll write that. So plus save water. And then we're going to get in the car, draw a little car. That's exactly what my car looks like. Then we're going to drive 3 hours to the new house. Oh, and I'm also going to bring the stand that the shrimp tanks are going to live on. So plus take stand. And then at the new house, I'm going to set up the stand. Set up stand plus shrimp tanks. And then I'm going to re-add the water. And when I get there, I'm probably going to put everything into the garage, because the garage at my new place is going to kind of be the fish tank studio, which hopefully it will turn into that. It's going to start much more as like a dank fish room. And by dank, I mean like a little cold and clammy, most likely. But I'm going to spruce it up. It's going to be sweet, but that's like phase 10 at this point. So I'll re-add the water, but I'll probably let the shrimp tanks in the water sit in the new space, chilling. Well, not getting cold, but just hanging out, getting to a consistent temperature for that space before I re-add the water. Because I really don't want to stress the shrimp out too much, especially because now they are, breeding. So I'll set up them. So after that, I'm going to go to my parents' house. So let's see. Parents' house. So I'm going to go to my parents' house because at my parents' house, there is a 78-gallon shallow aquarium that is, I think it's UNS. And I got it used. I got a super good deal on it. And I also have a stand for it and also lights at their house. So I'm going to go get all of that stuff and bring it back to my new place. So let's write that down. So grab all new aquarium stuff. So I'm going to get all of that stuff, and I'm going to, grab all new aquarium stuff except for the tank. So except for tank, because this tank it's super, super heavy. Like right now it is just sitting on my parents' front stoop because they're a little bit older and they couldn't lift it and bring it into the house. So it's been sitting on their front step for a couple of months. It is what it is. So after I grab all of that stuff, I'm then going to go back to the new house. So back to new house, and I'm going to set up the stand. And then that will be the end of the first day. So let's see. Let's see if I can squeeze this in over here. So next day. The next day, I'm going to move the new tank, and I'm going to have some help. Luckily, my fiance's dad and her brother are going to help me move the tank from my parents' house into the new place. So, move new tank. So we'll get the tank set up, and then I am going to get, probably not the lights because I won't need them, but I'm going to get the new filter that I also got set up on that tank. So yeah, let me show you the new filter really quick. So this is some of the stuff that I got for moving, but this is the filter I'm going to set up on the new tank. So check this out. This is an Awase Biomaster 350. So this has got a heater included. It's max 300 gallons per hour, max 90 gallons for size. So this thing is going to be exactly what I need for the new tank. And yeah, I'm not going to open it yet. I think it's just going to be easier to move this thing in the box and then set it up in, what did I say, phase 1. And I also got these stainless steel lily pipes. They're the same ones that I've got on Quarry Mountain. I love the look of these. I will open these up because they're already boxes isn't taped together, but yeah, they look like this. Same type of pipes. I really like them. They just look like super clean. So yeah, I'll set up all of that when I set up the new tank. Yeah, that's the new filter. So I'm going to move the tank and then set up tank plus filter. And after this phase, I'm probably going to spend another night in that house or my parents' house, and then I'm going to come back to this house. And that's going to kind of be the end of phase 1. And I'm going to get the filter set up, but I'm probably not going to keep it running that whole time. It's just going to be there kind of like ready to go because I'm not going to be there to really seed the media effectively. So, well, I'll kind of make that call when I get there because I don't want there to just be stagnant water. So, yeah, I might keep it running. I'm going to kind of make that decision when I get there. But that is going to be the end of phase 1. Okay, so moving on. About a week after phase 1 is done, maybe a little less, we're going to start phase 2. So, phase 2. And the reason I have to wait a week is that I kind of have to time things with when the movers are coming here to pick up all of our stuff. So, phase 2 is going to happen. I'm going to be traveling back and forth this 3-hour drive like almost every other day for 3 or 4 days. Let's see. Yeah, 3 or 4 days. So, we're going to start phase 2 in this house. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically be breaking down all of the tanks. So let's see. The tanks we're going to be dealing with, we have the riverbed. We have Quarry Mountain. And then we have the jungle. So I'm going to break down all of these tanks. And sometime before this, I'm going to go to Home Depot. I'm going to buy a ton of buckets. And as I break these down, I'm going to save the water, and I'm going to put all of the fish from these aquariums into buckets, basically 3 buckets, one for each aquarium, and I'm going to have water from each tank in these buckets. And I'm also going to take filter media from each of these tanks. So let's do filter media from these tanks is going to go into each of these corresponding buckets. And so the fish will be in the buckets with their tank water with filter media. And the plan is to, I think well, it's a little bit tough because I want to make sure that everything is really oxygenated in here. So I think I'm going to have an air pump. So let's do this. Air pump. It's going to be attached to my car outlet. And it's going to be kind of split 3 ways going into each bucket. So I'm going to kind of have these 3 buckets in my back seats secured really well with an air stone in each one, a bag of filter media in each one, and then the fish from each tank. And I think for a 3-hour drive, maybe 4 hours in the buckets, considering like the, getting them into the car and everything, this should be fine. And I'm really, really keeping my fingers crossed. And if you guys have any advice for me, if you think there's a better plan than doing this for moving the fish, let me know. I would love any suggestions, seriously. Because I could have rehomed all these fish, but I really, really don't want to, especially all of the Danios that I've bred myself. I really, really want to keep them. So this is the plan. I wish I didn't have to drive 3 hours, but it is what it is. So moving on, I'm going to have all of the fish in these buckets. And they're going to be in, basically let's move back a step. So for each of the tanks, so I'll just do, this is getting really convoluted, but hopefully it's making sense. So I'm going to break down each of these tanks, and I'm going to save all the hardscape and plants. So I'm going to save all of the hardscape and plants. Those are going to be in their own buckets, basically. And then I'm going to leave the tanks here because the fish are going to be in buckets at this point. The tanks are going to be dirty, but mostly empty. I don't want to take the time with the fish in the buckets to fully clean and break down all of the tanks. I'm going to leave that as another trip. So I'm going to have all of the hardscape and plants in buckets. And I may or may not take the plants on the first trip. I may just kind of leave them in a bucket, sort of in the sun here. But at minimum, I'm going to bring hardscape. And I'm also going to take, I already said I'm taking the filter media. So then I'm going to have hardscape in a bucket, and I'm going to then drive. So we'll get the car back out. There's the car, gets better every time. So then I'm going to take the car to the new house. And then I am going to acclimate the fish to the new tank. And then as I'm doing this, I'm going to set up some of the hardscape in this new big tank just so they have, some security basically and places to hide. It's not going to be like a fully escaped tank with substrate and that kind of thing. But I just want them to, to feel safe. And then, so set up hardscape. And then as I'm acclimating them, at sort of at the same time, I'm going to add the filter media to the new tank. So filter media into the new tank. And then I'll add the fish. So, and then at that point, I'm going to have, a bottle of beneficial bacteria with me as well. But ideally, the filter media that I'll just sort of have in the tank is going to just help cycle that filter further and just make sure that the fish are going to be totally fine. And it's going to be such a high or such a large volume of water for the fish that it should minimize any risks for them being in basically a fresh setup. But I'm also going to add any of the water that I have brought with me, as long as it's not too pooped out or anything. I'm going to add that to the tank so that there's not like a massive shock for the fish, and the water will have good beneficial bacteria in it as well. So that's the plan. And then, well, I'm going to stay there for the night, go back the next day, and then we're going to start phase 3. Okay, so phase 3. So phase 3 is going to be the most chill phase. Most of the stressful part at this point is going to be complete. I'll have that new tank set up, I'll have the fish in the tank, and then I'll sort of be able to take my time cleaning out the tanks here and moving them. So phase 3, we'll have the 3 tanks, and I'm going to, 1, just clean them out. Then I'm going to, 2, I'm going to save anything in buckets that I haven't already brought to the new place. So save stuff in buckets. Buckets. That is completely unintelligible. Buckets. There we go. So I'll save all of the hardscape, all of the substrate, all of that stuff. I just want to have kind of an abundance of materials when I move, because you never know what you're going to need. So yeah, I'll save all of that stuff, clean out the tanks, and then just move them. So 3 is going to be move them. So I'll get back in the car. Ooh, that one's not very good. Get back in the car and go to the new place. And this phase of the trip, I'm also, I guess this should be, 4 should be here. I'm going to break down the stands that I have, or really just the one major stand, because I'll have that new stand as well. And the new stand is going to have the big tank on it, but it's also big enough to have the riverbed on it as well. So, all right, break down stands. And I don't want to use the stand that the jungle aquarium is on right now, because it's more of a desk, and I want to use that desk for other things, but also I just don't totally trust it, which is not a great thing to say after it's been used for a year and a half with 2 different aquariums on it. But I mean, it's probably fine because of that, but regardless, I just don't want to take any chances. And the stand out here in the living room is going to take the jungle tank and also Quarry Mountain. And they won't be those tanks anymore. They're going to be empty, sort of blank canvases to work with. But that's the plan. So I'll, move everything to the new place, basically just get the empty tanks set up on their stands. And then after that, do 5. I'm going to come back here, and then the next day after that will be the final move with everything else in the house. So final move. So yeah, that is phase 3. So I guess it'll probably be, based on my 3 phases, 3 moving vlogs. So yeah, that's the plan. All right, guys. Well, that is my plan for moving. Hopefully, it goes exactly according to plan, but we'll just have to see because I'm going to start moving next week. So, if you want to follow along with me, don't forget to click the subscribe button and like and the comment would be awesome. If you have any advice for me, please leave it in the comments. I'd really appreciate it because I can use all the advice at the moment to move my fish safely. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to see a video where I talk more about all of the tanks and do like a final apartment tour, I'll leave a link to it somewhere on the screen around here. But thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one. So exciting, exciting day today, guys. I got my coffee, just woke up. It's time to start moving. Today I'm going to move the shrimp tanks, this one here, and there's one in the office, and a couple of ecosystem jars that are back there too. But I'm going to finish my coffee, have some breakfast. Then I want to show you guys the car and a couple cool things that are outside before we get started. Okay, so come and check this out. I've got this bucket over here, and it is full of all of this wood that I scavenged locally, and it's been soaking for like a couple weeks. And there's a couple big pieces in here, like this. Ooh, excuse me. That was the lid. That are starting to soak, but look at this thing. It is massive. I think it's like cottonwood, something like that. There's a couple other big pieces in here and some long sticks like that. I'm not bringing this today, but it's awesome. It's going to be sweet for the new big tank I'm going to set up. Yesterday, I went out to some local shops and I got all of this wood. Like, check this out. Look at this piece of spider wood. It's so cool. This thing is gonna basically like scape itself going into a new tank. Super cool. So I got that spider wood, and then there's also these big manzanita branches, which are going to be for the new tank. So really excited about that. It's always fun to get some new cool stuff, and it was nice to go on like a final tour of some of my favorite shops. But you can see I've got some spaces ready to set up the tanks in here for the drive. This is actually going to be where the 2 jars go. And then here in the back seat, I'm going to set it up to have a tank here, and a tank on the ground over there, and then I'm going to put the stands kind of back in here. So let's go do that. Actually, before we do that, just want to show you the other stuff I'm bringing. Main thing is this new filter for the new big tank, but then just a bunch of random stuff to go along with setting it up, and just stuff from my other aquariums, basically emptying out my my main storage. So yeah, but let's go break down the shrimp tanks. It is a beautiful day, nice and sunny. All right, this is gonna be fun. All right, so that is step 1 complete. I've got the tanks all drained here, just to like a couple inches. And I put some paper towels in there to keep the plants wet in places where they're a little above the water line. And then I wrap the plastic on top just to keep as much moisture in there as possible. And I also saved as much tank water as possible. You can see there's all of the media in there and the filters from the 2, or the sponges from the 2 filters, which I've got over here. Look, Ozzy. And yeah, all right. Whew, that was a little bit stressful, but we're doing it. Okay, so next I'm gonna load these into the car. Let's see. I'm gonna pause for a moment, kind of collect my thoughts. I think I'm gonna feed the fish actually, and just chill for a second, then load the stuff into the car. So since I'm gonna be gone a couple days, I did leave some like instructions for feeding for my fiance. Try to make it as simple as possible, because I know feeding other people's fish can be a little bit daunting at times. But let's give these guys a nice feed before I leave. Okay, time to load the tanks. That went pretty well. Shrimp tanks are in the car along with the 2 jars. Now I'm just gonna get the stand for them, kind of set up in the car ready to go. And then I'm gonna figure out how to get the bucket full of water in and then all the other stuff that I need to bring. So it might be a little bit of a tight fit by the time I'm done. Okay, this is going to be a bit of a tight fit, but I measured this yesterday, and it might work. Damn. Well, I'm going to have to take it apart. All right, that really didn't take too long. Already done. All right, so this bucket is going to be a little bit of a pain, but I'm thinking I can probably strap it in to the seat right here, kind of next to the broken down stand. So let's see if it works. All right, so that actually worked pretty well. I think I've got it pretty secure in here. I don't think it's going anywhere. The stand might shift around a little bit back here, but I'm going to try to minimize that. See, I really don't want those to fall on top of the tanks. So maybe I'll rearrange just a tad. But for the most part, I think the hard stuff is done. I think I'm just about ready to go. So I'm going to pack up all the camera stuff, and that'll kind of be the last thing. I'm going to say goodbye to my cat, Causey, and do it once around the house, and then get on the road. How am I doing for time? Just about perfect, actually. This is the time that I was shooting for to leave. So, yeah, feels good. Let's get on the road. All right, I'm in the car. I'm all packed up and ready to go. So I'm about to drive 2.5 to 3 hours south with the shrimp tanks in tow. You're kind of behind the seats back there, but I piled a bunch of stuff kind of on top of the rack to make sure that it doesn't move. So hopefully that works. And yeah, time to drive. And I'll see you at the new house. Super exciting. I haven't been there yet. So yeah, I'm super stoked. So see you soon. Well, stuck in Seattle traffic, so it begins, but I've got a beautiful view of the skyline. So I just got to the new place, and it took me way longer on the road than I expected. It was like almost 4 hours. Yeah, there was a ton of traffic, but I'm here now, thank God, so I'm gonna start getting stuff set up. I feel a little bit bad for the shrimp, I'm not gonna lie. They were in here a little bit longer than I intended, but it is what it is. Start unpacking, get their stand set up. Hey guys, this is Lucas in the future. Unfortunately, at this point, I totally forgot to turn my microphone back on.
So this is me in the future recording some voiceover of what I'm doing here. But basically, I got to the new house after 4 hours on the road and I was pretty tired. But I started unpacking the car, getting the stand ready, and setting up the shrimp tanks. So one problem that I ran into almost immediately was that this garage where I plan to set up all of the fish tanks and shrimp tanks is on a bit of a slope to prevent rainwater and any like melting snow from seeping into the garage. And this is obviously going to pose a problem for keeping my fish tanks and shrimp tanks level. But luckily for this stand for the shrimp tanks, it has adjustable feet, so I was able to fix that pretty easily. But this is going to pose a problem for setting up future tanks in here, especially big ones with large stands, which you'll see in the next video. But I set up a 78-gallon aquarium in here, and it was a challenge to overcome, let's just say that. But I got the shrimp tanks set up on the new stands. I unwrapped the plastic and everything from them, took out the paper towels, I fit the filters back on, set up the lights, and then I started adding water. I added the water that I brought in the bucket with all of the filter media and sponges from the filters. And I brought that water with me because the city water here is obviously different from where I came from. So I wanted to bring as much of the water the shrimp were used to as possible. And I didn't want to, shock them by adding water in with just vastly different parameters. So I did top up the tanks with maybe a few cups of city water from the new house at the very end, but I think that's good. It'll slowly acclimate them, and it seems like the shrimp are doing totally fine from the move. I didn't notice any losses or anything like that. Overall, I'm really happy. I think it was a total success for this first transfer. But overall, this went really smoothly. There were no losses of the shrimp or anything. They all seem totally fine. And it's really rewarding to get these tanks set up in this garage, the first of many, because this is going to be kind of my studio in this new house of where I'm going to set up my aquariums, where I'm going to do my editing and everything. So it's really exciting to get the first couple tanks in here. And I just want to finish off the video here with just a little bit of a tour of the rest of the apartment. You can see here's the living room where we're going to have the TV, already have a coffee table and makeshift dining room table set up. But we've got a nice little backyard, got a good sized kitchen in here with some pretty decent appliances. We have a dishwasher, which we didn't have in the last apartment. And yeah, beautiful little side yard, lots of natural light in here, good storage. And then coming straight through, we have 2 bedrooms, one of which is going to be my fiance's art studio. This one with the day bed already set up. And then, of course, my studio, the garage. So, yeah, really exciting to start moving. But that's it for me for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching and following along with me on this moving vlog. I've got a whole playlist of moving vlogs that I'm adding to. So if you're jumping in the middle, make sure you check out the playlist. You can see everything in order. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And yeah, thanks for following along with me, guys. I really appreciate you. And make sure that you tune in for the next moving vlog because it's going to be really exciting. I'm setting up a 78-gallon aquarium in the studio, and you're going to see how the kind of slope of the garage really became a headache. But stay tuned for that. Appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another moving vlog. So today is day 2. I've just woken up to my parents' house, just had some coffee and some breakfast, and I'm ready to get started again. So plan for today, I'm going to set up the stand for my new 78-gallon aquarium, and then we're going to move it later today. Let me show you the aquarium. So yeah, this is it. Check it out. There's my hand for scale. This thing is absolutely massive. It's like a 78-gallon shallow aquarium from Landon. And it's been sitting out here for the better part of 2 months at this point because my parents can't move it inside because it's just way too big. So later today, I'm going to get some help to move this into the new spot. But to prepare for that, I'm going to set up the stand that it's going to go on so that it'll be like a really easy transfer when we bring it like on a truck into the new house. So that is to come later today. But I'm also really excited to check on the shrimp tanks that I set up yesterday. So if you haven't seen that video yet, check it out. I'll have a link like somewhere for it close by. And there's also like a playlist with all of the moving vlogs on it if you want to check that out. But let's get started. I'm going to load up the new stand. All right, so I just pulled up at the new house. You can see I've got the stand right here, and my vision is for it to go kind of right here, next where I've set up the shrimp tanks. And once the light turns on, we're gonna take a closer look at them. It looks like it got down to about 65 degrees in here tonight. So I mean, that'll be okay for now, but in the winter, I'm definitely gonna need to get some sort of heaters, I think, for these tanks. I'll keep an eye on it. I wanna make sure that it gets back up to about 70 during the day, because I really don't want them to stay, below 70 for too long. But I feel like if it's just 65 at night, back up to 70 during the day, then that'll be fine for the summer, especially as it gets hotter. It's only June now. So in July, it's probably going to be totally fine. But yeah, come winter, I'll get some heaters. You can see this is just kind of where I set up all of the stuff from my car from yesterday. So yeah, but we'll take a closer look at the shrimp once the lights turn on. I've got them on timers. It should be within an hour or so. But for now, I'm going to set about getting into this box. So I had to run back to my parents' house to grab these couple of screwdrivers because there's just one size of screw that I'm going to need for this whole thing. But since I'm back now, the shrimp tank lights are on. And from what I can see, all of the shrimp in here seem to be doing fine. At least I'm not seeing any immediate problems with them. So that's a good sign. The filters are working. Everything seems to be normal in here as far as I can tell. So I'm going to keep an eye on them throughout the day. But so far, so good. Back to the project at hand. Okay, so it's been about 4.5 hours, but I finally got this thing set up. Check it out. So here is the stand. and I got it level. But yeah, the problem with this garage is that the whole thing is slightly sloped. So you can see what I had to do is the classic cardboard method. And I think that this is gonna be fine because the tank is gonna be set up kind of over here, and then I'm gonna have a smaller tank right here. That is the plan, at least. And that is the next thing that I'm gonna do. So I've gotta get cleaned up here. I gotta get back to my parents' house to meet my friends who are gonna help me. And the battery in the camera is about to die. So I'll see you guys in a few, and we'll move the tank.
I met my friends Kelly and Blaine at my parents' house to move the tank. Kelly brought some dollies in his truck to make the whole process easier. We got the tank onto the dolly and started wheeling it out towards the truck. We were trying to get the box sort of set up in the truck so that it would be upright, the tank, when we unboxed it at the new house. So we got it up on one side, and then we're able to kind of pivot it into the truck. We got it all loaded up and hit the road. Back at the new house, we backed up the truck as close as possible to the stand and then started unboxing the new aquarium. I was really excited at this point to see what we had here. It took us a little while to get into the box and start getting the tank out, but once we did, it was pretty easy to slide the aquarium out of the box, and between the three of us, we got it onto the stand. It became apparent pretty quickly that my solution with the cardboard underneath the stand to level it was not going to be a long-term solution. So Kelly offered to measure out and make some supports for it, which was a huge help. So thank you, Kelly. But huge shout out to Kelly and Blaine. Kelly was even nice enough to take away all of the extra wood from the box and everything on his truck. And I really couldn't have done it without these guys.
What's up, guys? So it's the next day, and we got the tank all set up, but it became pretty apparent that the cardboard that I put on there was just not going to be like a long-term situation. I mean, like underneath the legs. So my father-in-law, soon-to-be father-in-law, came over this morning and we fixed it up. So let me show you what we did. So here we are in the garage. This is the tank. I mean, it's pretty awesome and mind-blowing. And we replaced the cardboard with these wooden blocks. And it's awesome. I mean, it looks super good. Thank you so much to Kelly for helping me out. And yeah, here is the tank. It's a little bit surreal, I'm not going to lie, to have this in the space. I'm really looking forward to beautifying this whole space. Sorry, the lighting is not great in here. That's one of the first things I'm going to change, is put in a big lights right next to this one. And I'm also going to hide this water heater, I think probably with one of those like Japanese like bamboo curtain type things. And then I'm also going to get some kind of black curtains on the walls and some sweet rugs to hide this mess here. But this is it. It's so cool to have this. So I've got to go off and run a wedding related errand, but then I'm going to come back here and I'm going to water test the tank. I'm going to get, water test, but also test it for level, with those new blocks and everything, and make sure that it settles all right. And then I'm going to get the filter started on it and get all the lighting set up, and then we can really take a look at it. It's going to take me a while to clean and stuff, but that's what I'm going to do when we get back. Oh, but also yesterday, you could probably tell that it wasn't me filming us moving the tank in. And that was my dad. So shout out to my dad. He's a professional photographer. I'm sure that that is reflected in the footage. So thank you so much, Tim. Appreciate you.
So once again, this is Lucas from the future. I, again, forgot to prepare my microphones properly. So I'm doing a little voiceover for the last part of the video here. Before heading home, I decided to set up the lights and the filter on the tank. So I have these two Lamini Pixies here, which are a pretty nice little light. I'm planning to use both of them on the big tank. They were pretty straightforward and easy to put together, and they come with a little remote, but I'm planning to just have these on timers, so I probably won't need the remotes. But overall, they're a pretty sleek design, and I'm happy with them. They make the cord management really easy, as the cords just sort of fit through the support of the light itself. So I really like that about them. They should be pretty easy to keep nice and sleek and have the cords hidden behind the tank. So I got them fixed onto the tank and turned them on, and I finally had some good light in the garage. I started cleaning out the tank. I just used water on the inside and just paper towels to get out all of the kind of grime and little bits that were inside from the shipping process. And then I used a glass cleaner on the outside. Then I started unboxing the filter. I got this Awaze Biomaster 350. It's also a thermo, so it comes with a heater as well. But I have a 250 on one of my other tanks that I have really loved and has performed really well for me, so I figured I would just get a slightly bigger one for this tank. This is rated for up to 90 gallons, I believe, so it should be perfect for this tank. These filters are pretty simple to use and set up, and all of the new Awaze filters have bigger holes in the pre-filter, because apparently there were some problems with air bubbles in the filter that were making them a little bit noisy. So Awaze totally fixed this with the new filters. So this should be totally silent when I have it running. Inside the filter, there are a series of sponges, and then at the very bottom, there is a bunch of media that just comes with the filter. And it is just a bag of plastic media like this, which is perfectly good and fine, but I decided to upgrade mine with some ceramic media. I just decided to fill the two bottom layers of the filtration with just a bunch of media from Chem. I think it's the Chem Matrix. And while I was setting up this filter, I was also filling up the tank, which took a while, but I did it nice and slowly to make sure that the stand wouldn't shift or anything, and just to double check for any leaks. But it seems like the tank is totally solid. No leaks and no shifting of the stand.
Okay, so here it is. Unfortunately, my camera died, so I didn't really get to take many shots of the setup here, but you can see I've got the Awase filter piped through right to the back here. And so far, so good. It's putting a pretty amazing glow into the garage. But what I'm gonna do next is just add some water conditioner to this, and then I'm headed back to my other house. And I'll stay there for a few days and then make another trip. So this is the end of the moving vlog for today, but I am also just gonna feed the shrimp before I leave because I'm not gonna be back for about 5 days or so. Ooh, and I've made quite the mess. And I'm not gonna lie, it's been a long few days. So I'm looking forward to being home. But one other thing really quick for the shrimp, I did add a couple of heaters because it was getting down to about 65 overnight. And while I'm gone, I just don't really want to take any chances, you know. That's it for me. What a couple days, honestly. Thanks for following along with me and watching me set up this awesome tank, because I am really, really excited about what I'm going to do next with this thing. It's a little bit mind-boggling to have this in my life. Might have bit off a little bit more than I could chew. So hopefully when I come back in a few days, this is still intact and the stand is all good and everything. So fingers crossed. But hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you haven't seen the first couple moving vlogs I did, make sure you check them out. There's a playlist for them, and maybe I'll link that stuff around as well. But hope you guys have a great day. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. What's up, guys? Welcome to moving vlog number 4. So far, things have gone pretty well. We moved the tank in the last one, and then before that, we moved the shrimp tanks. Today, well, tomorrow is going to be a big day because I'm moving all of the fish. And I just want to show you guys a little bit of what my plan is before I put it into action tomorrow morning, because I think I'm going to get started like pretty early, and I'm just going to be kind of going. And I'm going to take time to film and everything, but I really want to be focused on the fish as much as possible to make sure that things go smoothly. And speaking of the fish, look at how much the fry have grown in here. This move really can't come soon enough because these guys are starting to get way too big for this tank. Like they're getting to the same size as the adults now, which is really exciting. So I'm really looking forward to getting these guys especially into the big tank. And as you can see in Quarry Mountain here, it is totally overgrown at the moment, which is kind of by design because I'm going to use all of this Vallisneria in here, Vallisneria spiralis, which I think is the name of the plant, but I might be wrong about that. I've been trying to research it the last few days and I haven't got like a conclusive answer. So if you guys know what this plant is, please let me know in the comments. That'll be awesome. But anyway, I've let it get totally overgrown. So I'm looking forward to getting in here and just taking out all the plants and kind of seeing what I have to work with for the new tank. You can see that this Vallisneria has even been growing so well that it's starting to flower. You can see this little guy back here. It's growing, all the way above the light at this point. So it will be like slightly nostalgic to take these tanks down, but I have just as much excitement as I do for nostalgia. because just starting new things is fun, honestly. And these tanks have had a great run, and there's going to be something new in each and every one of them. So a little nostalgic, but also excited. And the last tank that I'm taking down is, of course, the Blackwater Jungle here in the office. And this one is probably going to be the most complicated because I've got to deal with all of these immersed plants above. But that's going to be a project for the morning. I want to take you guys and show you the bucket system that I'm going to use for the fish. So come with me. So as you can see, I'm starting to get everything kind of set up here in my living room. And I've got these 3 buckets. One of these is going to correspond to each tank. So by the end of this, I'm going to have fish, air stone, and media in each of these buckets. And most of the media is going to come from this filter, which is hooked up to Quarry Mountain here. But let me take you out to the car and I'll show you how I'm going to secure these. So out here at the car, you can see I've got the system set up, or starting to set up. So basically, I've got this outlet here, which plugs in to the cigarette lighter here. Get it plugged in. There we go. And then once I turn it on, I've got this air pump attached to it. And in this bucket, 3 airline tubes that are connected to this thing. You can see I've got another connector here. And then an air stone on the bottom of each. So let's turn on the car and double check that this works. It's all plugged in. Okay, and then I've got the on-off switch here. And there we go. You can see that the air stones are working. So I'm going to have 1 bucket of fish strapped into this seat. And then my other 2 buckets are going to be in the 2 back seats belted in. So if everything goes according to plan tomorrow, that is going to work perfectly. The fish are going to have air, and also the media is going to have air. So that it's just going to be a safe ride for everyone, plenty of oxygen. And it's been super hot out the last few days, so I shouldn't have to worry about temperature. It's basically going to be like tropical temperatures in my car. So that is the system that I'm going to use. And I'm going to kind of putter around the house today and pack up as much stuff into my car before tomorrow morning as possible. And I'm going to wake up super early tomorrow to get just like a really good start on the day, because the last 2 times I've driven, I've gotten caught in traffic, and I don't want that to happen this time with the fish in the car. I want to get to the destination as quickly as possible. So come tomorrow morning, I'm just going to get straight into it. So I'll see you guys then. It's a little past 8 o'clock in the morning. Just had my breakfast. Let's do this. Cue the time lapse. All right, so far so good. This tank is done. Got all of the hardscape over here, the terrestrial plants right there, and then in here, all of the fish. This tank next. Two tanks down. I'm making pretty good time. You can see I've also got all of these plants in here. and then all of the fish from the riverbed. And you can see I also emptied out the Oase filter from Quarry Mountain. And yeah, I've got a bag of media in each bucket, and then one more bag of media in here that's going to go in the last bucket from the jungle tank. And here's the jungle. I think that this is going to be the biggest job just because of these plants here. So let's get started. All right, so mission accomplished. It's now about 12 o'clock and I'm almost ready to hit the road. I basically just have to pack up the car and go. Got all of the fish in the buckets right here, all of the plants, got my kind of water change system, another bucket of rocks here and stuff, and then all the plants over here. I'm not totally sure what I'm going to do with these plants yet when I get there. I'll probably just put them in the sun for now, honestly. But yeah, and then here is more pothos. Don't worry, it's going to be fine. And a big bucket of hardscape. So yeah, I'm a little tired. That took me about 5 hours or so, but it's still early in the day, which means hopefully I'm going to get there pretty quickly, because on the last couple trips, I kind of hit traffic, and I'm hoping leaving at the time I'm leaving, everything's going to be good. I'm also bringing lunch this time. So yeah, should be a good trip, but I'm going to get the car loaded up. I think that'll be pretty secure. All right, let's get the other ones. So this is the bucket that I was just keeping the airstone soaking in overnight. So fingers crossed this system still works. But I'm going to grab this last bucket and we'll get it running. Okay, I just started the car, got the system all hooked up. Let's double check that it's working. Okay, awesome. I'm just going to double check the other buckets. Okay, that one's not working. So it looks like there might be a problem with that hose. So I couldn't figure out what was wrong with the hose that's in the back bucket there. So I think what the plan is going to be is I'm going to stop at a couple of rest stops along the way and just reoxygenate the water just by sort of pulling some out and then adding some back in. And as long as I stop at like one rest stop per hour and do that, I think everything is going to be totally fine. And I won't even need to worry about the other buckets, but it's probably a good idea to stop and check on them anyway. And at this point, the sooner I leave, the faster that they are going to be there. For the most part, I think this is a huge success, but I'm not there yet. So I'm going to get on the road and I'll see you at the new place. Okay, so just got off the road, and unfortunately, it was another very long day of travel. On the road for about 4 hours again. I got in traffic behind like a major accident about an hour into the trip, and that kind of just set me up to hit traffic at 3 different places, basically. But I'm here, and to be honest with you, I was pretty nervous about the fish in the last hour of travel, especially the ones that didn't have the air stone in the bucket, these guys. But as I was driving, the buckets were moving slightly, which was a concern, but also let me know that like there was surface agitation, and so like a good amount of like aeration basically for the fish. So I knew that oxygen would be fine. I was just nervous about the movement, but on looking into all of the buckets here, I'm not really noticing any losses. So huge success. But I'm letting them chill here for now. I'm going to start the acclimation process, and I'm also going to kind of get the garage cleaned up as I do. But what my plan is I'm basically going to take 15-ish gallons out of this tank. And as I do that, add some of that water to these buckets and add a little bit of this water back into those buckets or into this tank. And I'll do that for probably the next hour, maybe hour and a half. I want to do it pretty slowly. I really don't want to stress these guys out after the day that they've had. So yeah, that's my plan. But honestly, really happy so far. But if you haven't seen the last moving vlog, well, where I set up this tank, you should check it out. There's a link there or something. But it's quite the process. And looking at the stand as I'm coming in today, I can see that it has settled a bit, which is good. Settled meaning the feet are sinking like onto the blocks where they should be and all of that. So yeah. And part of the reason that I set up this tank was for this process so that I could successfully, like have a place to put all of the fish when I move them here. So super happy about this tank, obviously. But yeah, check out that video. I'm just siphoning up some bubbles that are kind of along the edge here. But yeah, I'm going to take out probably 15 gallons of this. And I think as I start acclimating, I'm also going to start getting the plants sitting in here. a lot of plants. And I've been acclimating the fish this whole time. So I think I'm gonna turn off the light and then I'm gonna add them in. And I think I'm gonna check back in with you guys tomorrow because I wanna make sure that this goes super well. So let's check them out tomorrow, first thing in the morning. Okay, guys, so it is the next day. And so far, everything looks great. For the most part, the fish seem to be totally fine. I did notice that there's one cardinal who isn't doing so well, and that is a cardinal who is not doing well in the last tank. So I'm hoping that he pulls through. I'm just going to have to see at this point. I'm going to be back here tomorrow to check on the tank again. I'm going down to the old house today and then back here. So I'm going to set up one of these lights to be on a timer and leave the other one off, basically. But I tested the parameters of the tank today and perfect, which is kind of to be expected. This is a pretty large volume of water. And with the media that I brought, that kind of just ensures that there's going to be enough beneficial bacteria in here for everything to be fine. And that goes for the plants and everything as well. I'm sure they had a lot of beneficial bacteria on them. And I mean, they're also just going to soak up any nutrients from the water column. And yesterday I did also add some beneficial bacteria and I added more this morning. And last night I also added some leaf zone to the tank. So it should be totally good while I go away for a little bit. Well, for really just a day. But it's kind of crazy to see all of my fish in one massive tank like this. And it's making me really excited to build out the rest of the studio in here and escape this tank eventually. And it was pretty cool yesterday to put all of the plants that I own in here also. So to kind of see my whole collection in here is kind of mind-blowing, but pretty cool. And it was also stressful yesterday to break down the tanks, but also fun in a way because I got to see all of the hardscape materials and everything that I was going to be working with for my next projects. But overall, this was stressful to do to get all the fish in here, but the system that I used worked. And yeah, for the most part, the fish are totally fine. They were pretty decolored when I got them here and eventually added them in. But overnight, they've colored up and they look, yeah, totally fine. They have a really good feeding response. So I think it was a success overall. So yeah, it's a huge weight off my chest to get to this point where all of the fish, all of the plants are here. But that is the end of this moving vlog. And I think the whole moving vlog series actually is coming to an end with this video. Because the next thing I'm going to do is basically just clean out all of the tanks at home and then move the tanks that are there and also the stands that two of them are on right now into here. And I don't think I need to film that. It's just going to be a bunch of cleaning and then another trip here. So thanks for watching this whole series, guys. And if you're jumping in this video, there is a playlist for all the moving vlogs if you want to see how I got started. But thank you guys so much for watching this whole experience. I know it's been a bit stressful for me, and I'm sure that was reflected in some of the videos. But I think it's an interesting experience to share. And hopefully, if you're thinking about moving your fish tanks or your fish or anything, if you got a big project like mine to do, then hopefully this video series and maybe this video in particular helped you out. But thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. In this video, I'm going to show you how I turned this garage into an amazing aquarium studio. So I just finished moving, which was a huge undertaking to set up this massive tank here and to move all my fish and all my aquariums into this garage. And I really wanted to create an awesome space to continue making tanks, making videos, and sharing my love of aquariums. So that's what this room is all about. If you want to see my process of moving everything in here, building stands, setting up this tank, especially getting this in here, moving all of my fish, I've got a playlist for all of my moving vlogs, so make sure you check that out. And while you're at it, give me a like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. But let's get into the video. I'm going to do a little bit of a studio tour and just kind of talk off the top of my head a little bit about how I set all this up. Let's get started. So the garage is in here. This is kind of the hallway through my house. Let's go in here. So this is kind of the first thing that you see as you come through the door into the garage studio. You see all of the aquariums here and the curtains and everything that I've put up. So let's just start over here in the corner. I've got this room divider here, and all of the stuff that I purchased for this room I just got from IKEA. So honestly, it was like pretty cheap to do all this. This is one of the more expensive things, but I think it's worth it. It hides the water heater, which is just behind this. And it kind of is just a nice aesthetic here. Kind of distracts from the washer and dryer, which are right here. And it kind of frames these houseplants, the Monstera and Peace Lily. And these used to be in another aquarium of mine, and I repotted them here. For now, I'll kind of see what I want to do with them. And moving right along, there's obviously the first massive aquarium here, but I'll talk about that in a second. I want to draw your attention to the curtains that I've put just above here. There's curtains on this wall and also the wall behind you over here, which is behind my computer. And I'll look at that in a moment. But this is super cheap to set up. It's just 2 curtain rods and these nice blue curtains behind, which I think really frames everything really well here and really makes it look like a gallery. And here's the first aquarium. So this isn't scaped or anything. This is just kind of holding at the moment. It's just full of all of my plants, just kind of in bunches, and all of my fish as well. Because when I moved, I basically set this up first to be able to move all of the plants and all of the fish into as I was getting all of the tanks in here. So I'm going to do an awesome scape in this tank soon, but it's kind of the last thing on my list of aquarium setups at the moment. And I've got all of the storage kind of set up down below, towels and chemicals, testing kits, food, all of that sort of stuff. Then the filter and electronics set up over here, which they're a little bit of a mess right now in terms of cables, but I've got everything raised up just to make sure no water gets into them, but I plan to kind of work on that in the future and make it a little bit nicer. And as we go down the line, got this aquarium that's all set up with light and filter and heater, which is just waiting to be scaped. I might even get to this tonight, we'll see. And behind, I've got some house plants that I haven't completely found a place for yet. They just get some decent lighting here. So kind of waiting to see, where I want to put those exactly. I wish I had some more good shelving for them, but they're a work in progress. And here we actually have some finished tanks. So in my moving vlog series, there's a video of me moving these 2 shrimp tanks. So I didn't set up these scapes here in the studio. I basically drained them down to just a couple inches and then moved them from my old house to here and filled them back up again. And they're a bit of a mixed bag in how well they traveled. The plants and everything did fine, and this tank was totally good to go. And I actually, since moving, I did a little bit of maintenance on this tank, and I cleaned out some of the plants, removed a little bit of, quite a lot of the floating plants, and did a little bit of a rearrange on it. There'll be a video on that coming soon. But this tank, unfortunately, did not do quite as well. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but I had to leave the tanks for a few days, and I came back, and this one had had like a little bit of an ammonia spike, and I'm not totally sure why, honestly. And so I did lose a few of the adult shrimp, unfortunately, but there are quite a few baby shrimp in here. So I'm hoping that it will bounce back given time. I'm really keeping an eye on it. And luckily the water locally here is quite a bit harder than the water where I was living before. So that should be great for the shrimp. So yeah, I'm monitoring this tank pretty closely for now, but I love how this one looks, so I really want it to thrive. And this tank, this is actually a totally new scape. I set this up about 3 days ago, and I did go out and get some new plants from a local shop to put in the background. And so I kind of want to wait for everything to grow in, for the tank to settle, and to get some fish in here before I do like a full video on it. But if you haven't, make sure you subscribe so you can see when I come out with that video in the future. And this corner of the studio is just kind of storage. I've got this nice wire rack set up here that just has some, storage, basically a bunch of lights, power strips, kind of random bits and bobs that I will need to have on hand periodically. I've got some spare tanks and things down here. And then I've got this nice table here in the background that I can move around the studio to use to work, basically. I kind of wish it had wheels. That'd make it way more convenient. But for now, it's pretty good. I can move it kind of up and down the row of tanks here and just, keep it handy as I need it. And this corner of the studio is kind of the leftover from moving corner. Basically, just have a bunch of boxes back here that are obscuring some leftover bags of substrate down there, which I will use. And my vision for this corner is to eventually have some more shelving here, maybe some racks for some nano tanks or something like that. And this is kind of the hardscape and substrate area. I've got this nice rack here to put all my unused hardscape on, and rocks and that kind of thing, scatter gravel. I just got some new Sirius stone, so I'm looking forward to using this. There's also a bunch of botanicals, and then I've got sand, aqua soil, scatter gravel, that thing over there. And the hardscape is looking a little bit sparse, but that's because I'm keeping a bunch of stuff kind of soaking right now in the big tank, so it'll just be ready to be used underwater. And then this is just my computer area, workstation, where I'm editing the video that you're watching right now. Don't need to say that much about it, but it's really nice to have here. And you can see that I've got the curtains on this side as well, kind of mirroring both sides. And I did the same thing, just put up the curtain rods. It was super easy to just drill them into the wall and hang the curtains. And there wasn't very good lighting here initially, so I added this kind of strip of track lighting right on the ceiling, and very conveniently, there's an outlet right above that's used for the garage door. So I just have this thing kind of hanging down. There's a switch right here I can turn on and off, and it's pointed, basically at each side. So I can light the tanks and all of the plants on one side really easily while doing the same thing on the other. And I have some of those lights pointed right here for now because my vision in the future is to move this maybe kind of further down or just behind the camera and have another whole setup of aquariums. So kind of just another stand like is on the other side I want to have right here. And then this is what the studio looks like from where the garage door is. And you can see that I've got these rugs, 2 of them kind of running down the center here. And they're nice. They're just like a rattan. They kind of have like a beach vibe, and the blue gives sort of like an oceany river feel. So I feel like the aesthetic, honestly, is pretty good for aquariums. One other thing that I should mention is that you can see these wooden blocks here. We've got these here and then also on the other stands down at the end. But this whole garage is on a bit of a slope, which has shown some challenges. But we have overcome it. I've overcome it with the help of some friends who helped me with these blocks, and it's made sure that the stands are level. And so I think for the future, that means that I'm just gonna have to get slightly smaller stands and do tanks that are more this size. Basically just, this is the only tank that's gonna be this big in this studio as far as I'm thinking right now. But it's not a problem. It was a challenge, but due to the help of friends and family, I overcame it. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. I think I definitely need to get some more art in here. And my fiance says that I need a little bit more like warm lighting in places. So maybe some softer lamps kind of around. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. If you have any comments or suggestions for me, let me know. I'd love to hear them. All right, guys, so that is the video for today. I hope you enjoyed it, this little tour of my new studio. I'm super, super excited about it. I can't wait to keep making aquariums in here. And I hope you guys enjoyed seeing it as well. Stay tuned for some new videos of aquascapes coming up in the future and other aquarium builds and related content. I'm going to have some kind of compilations coming out of my old tanks that I took down while I was moving. So stay tuned for those. But thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.